Well, hello everybody. This is a Saturday night, so it's time for Terry's political rant, and this is number 2 on deserving high pay and doctor's bills. Okay, so these two subjects sound pretty related, and I'll just start right off talking about uh, a common thing you're hearing from anybody who's not really wealthy is just the question of how on earth these CEOs uh, all think that they are worth as much money as they are paid. And how do these boards of trustees get it through their head that their CEOs are worth as much as they're paying them? Well, of course, you got to figure these boards of trustees must have several people on board that are getting paid as much or more than the CEOs. But of course, people, they talk about the reality that a CEO is the top man. He's in charge. It's the ball stops there. That's how the buck stops. It stops with him. He's got the ultimate responsibility for the entire organization. If it's got thousands of employees, he's ultimately responsible for those thousands of employees. But nonetheless, come on, he works same number of hours as anybody else in that organization. That's especially in the management field. I mean, putting in his 11-hour, 14-hour days, and yeah, he's got a lot of responsibility. But when you see the disparity of just how much money is being made, it's shocking to anybody who, especially, is earning an hourly wage and not on a salary basis, and even to just about everybody that's on a salary basis. You have people making massive contributions to society in various ways aren't paid nearly as much as people in certain fields are paid, and that disparity is always disturbing to people, especially in this day and age since we've had this crash. Well, that makes you sort of begs the question is whether something like what FDR did when he put a cap on income nationwide during the Great Depression. He says nobody makes more money than this. You're taxed at 100% for anything you make over a certain amount of money. And that was not a very popular idea with the people who were being hit with that. And let's get real. It didn't solve the problem by itself. What solved the Great Depression was we got into World War II, and a major munitions and supplies, military-industrial complex was born that suddenly created a lot of jobs that weren't there before. But we don't want that to be our way out this time, please. Eisenhower warned afterwards of the growth of the military-industrial complex, and everything he claimed would happen has definitely happened, without a doubt. So it'd be nice to see that kind of be scaled down and something else can take its place. What's going to take its place is still open for debate. Nobody really knows. A lot of people kind of hope technology and services will somehow fill such a void and create the number of jobs, but it's hardly happening. Nonetheless, the people who are in charge of getting the money out to these different operations, and the people in charge of banks and high-level finance, keeping major corporations running, they're getting paid a fortune, and a huge fortune at that. And so you can't help but wonder, there's got to be some other way to handle this system. And plus you just got to wonder, just what kind of mindset makes people think they even deserve such insane amounts of pay. Okay, I'm going to even pick on your sports people, okay? Where the heck does a sports star get off getting millions and millions of dollars for a season? Come on. But, see, that's where we were starting to let the general public kind of get used to these huge figures, these gigantic salaries. The entire middle class that loves sports has been hearing these types of pay rates go up and up and up over the last 20 years. And now they're just so outrageous, it's jaw-dropping. And so it's no wonder the people in upper positions say, well, heck, that's just a sports figure. I run an entire corporation. Don't I deserve to get paid in a similar manner at least? I am the star of this show. I'm the one keeping this place going. Well, let's face it. What's really happened is that the whole idea of being super rich, of making as much money as possible, of being ridiculously wealthy, the old American dream idea is turning into an American nightmare. People that wind up with all of this money aren't necessarily being made any happier. It's a ton of stress comes with that kind of a responsibility. But anyway, I don't have answers, but I definitely have the big question is, why on earth do we even have a system that pays people so much and creates a whole society that is in this delusion that gobs and gobs of money is what makes you an important person on this planet, or worthwhile, or I don't know what. I have no idea what the money is a symbol for. When you get into that much money, what the heck is it symbolizing to the person that's got that much money? What the heck does that symbolize? What's it mean to them? You already got enough money to buy anything you want. Anything you want. Invest in anything you want. Make more money as much as you want with your smart investments. What do you need all that for? What the heck does anyone need all that for? You got me. I'll never figure that out. I'll never find out where the rationale is. It's too puzzling to me. Now, it'd be nice to see a turnaround in consciousness where people start realizing that, okay, yeah, I do have ridiculous amounts of money and I'm investing it just in making more money. Wouldn't it be nice to invest in something that made other people's lives a little more pleasant? But unfortunately, people that feel like they deserve that kind of money often have a rather bad attitude towards people who aren't making as much money, and that they're lesser human beings, that there's something wrong with them, that they've got their lot in life, and that's just what they deserve. That's what they're going to get. That's what they have, and it's not, not their responsibility to bail out those folks. Well, it is. This is one planet. We're all sharing it. We're all living on it, and I'm not talking about something that's a equal distribution of wealth type of idea. I think it's so cumbersome to manage, and no incentives. And people do need incentives that are financial incentives. Just that these types of financial incentives are so off the wall. They're outlandish. Who needs this kind of an incentive? Who would need that much incentive to get something done? Well, anyway. So that's my big question, and I'd like people to put on the thinking caps of how a kind of a beneficial redistribution of wealth might occur that would be satisfying to people who get this kind of money paid to them, or some other way of reimbursement for services that includes a large outlay of the payment being something that goes to the charities of their choice as just part of the deal. That would be, a nice built-in type of a thing. I mean, you got a sports figure, he starts negotiating a contract, and have the people, the trustees, say, well, look at, yeah, we're willing to pay you these millions of dollars, but we want a certain percentage of that going to the charities of your choice. And that's just where we stop, right there. Non-negotiable. You're going to give some of that money to charities. And just think of the PR plus that would do. Now, speaking of bad PR, doctors get a lot of bad PR for the amount of money that they charge. And it's going up and up and up. And the Affordable Care Act has just kind of underscored the whole thing that, gee, now everybody's got to get insurance by law, and we're subsidizing people who can't afford insurance. And so here's this 15% of the population or something that didn't have insurance before that will now have to get insurance, and that's going to increase the insurance company's coffers by this many new clients they wouldn't have had before, and partially paid for by the government, taxpayers, and all this stuff, from what it seems like, some subsidy program. I'm really pretty ignorant about this, but my main point is nothing to do with that. It's more to do with the feeling that doctors get huge pay for, especially things like emergency room visits. I'll tell you right now, I went in for some bug bites on my feet that weren't curing. Doctor must have spent 30 seconds looking at my feet, standing up. Didn't even get down to look. Said, I don't know what it is. It's an emergency room visit. I don't know what it is. Here, physician's assistant, write him a script for some antibiotics. And I got a bill for $500 from the doctor, $128 from the emergency room, $500 from the doctor for about 30 seconds of, I don't know what it is. Well, no, I didn't pay it because I disputed it with the hospital. And I think anybody that gets hit with a ridiculous bill should dispute it with the hospital. But the thing is, I was mad then, and I looked into it some more, and I realized, when I talk about insurance companies, the biggest bill a doctor has to pay, I'm told, is their malpractice insurance bill. Can you imagine that? That's the biggest bill. That's bigger than their office lease and their equipment lease, their electricity, everything else. Their insurance bill for malpractice insurance is their biggest expense. Now that's pitiful. That's pitiful. And so all I can say is, where does this stop? When are we going to start scrutinizing these insurance systems? Maybe the problem wasn't the medical system as much. Insurance companies always have been belly aching that, doctors are raising their rates. Doctors are raising their rates. Yeah, while you're raising your rates on their malpractice insurance, while you're raising their rates on other things. I don't know. It's leaving a sour taste in my mouth. And I just think it's one of those things that needs some investigation, and I'd love to hear from some medical doctors on this one, of just what their take is, because I know that they have to eat it and take whatever pay they get from Medicare and Medicaid, and with the baby boomers coming through, that's the new majority of medical visits. It's the majority, wherever that population goes, since that's the largest population group in history. They call it the pig in the python, because it's, if you look down the timeline, its population group looks like a python that tried to eat a pig. It's moving down there through the timeline of the python's body. And but if sexuals were coming into where they're all aging and becoming eligible for Medicaid and Medicare, particularly Medicare, well, there's limits on how much they're going to get paid for each of those. But their malpractice insurance doesn't go down just because they're treating older people. And, stuff like that. So I'd love to hear in future programs from some doctors, if you'd like to be on the show and talk about that. I'd love to hear from some incredibly wealthy, highly paid CEOs and sports figures what you think too. And be on the show if you like. But the thing is, we have some things to think about. Our economy has got some kind of screwball things about it, and conversation and communication has got to take place. It's not about making some kind of radical moves. It's really sad to see what goes on overseas in other parts of the world. But the politicians and stuff have got to become responsive to letters and communiques from the constituency. But first, the constituency has got to take action and actually write them about it and ask these questions, because when it comes to many of these things, it is going to be in their ballpark of how things actually get done there and at the lobbying organizations. So if you know of any lobbying organizations that are working for ideas that you support, you look at them, because you have three branches of government. You have the elected officials, you have the bureaucrats that actually keep everything working, and you have the lobbyists that interact with both of those, and especially the bureaucracy, especially the bureaucrats, in affecting how policy is made and how it's written, because they're the ones that actually have to write and enforce the policy. So, so if you never even thought of supporting a lobbying organization, that's another thing to think. That goes beyond just writing your congressman, you see. You're a lone lobbyist. That's one of many, and yeah, they count each letter. Well, I don't know, they used to count each letter as 300 people's, opinion, because of how seldom they get anybody to actually connect with them and contact them. But there are lobbying organizations for every single interest, and so don't think that they don't need your help. Some of them definitely do, and they're a major influence in the political realm on the state level and on the federal level. So keep that in mind. Okay, well, we've gone 16 minutes here, and I try to keep these down to about 15 minutes or so. And get in touch with me and ask questions. Please share this if you like. And I look forward to hearing from you. And what can I say? Thanks a lot for hanging out with me, and good night. Have a good week.